Hello everyone. In this video, we'll discuss the rules of the present simple tense and when to use it. Let's dive in. The present simple tense is one of the most commonly used tenses in English. It serves various purposes, from describing everyday routines to expressing universal truths. Let's explore its key uses with examples to illustrate its versatility. Regular or repeated actions. The present simple is often used to discuss habits and daily routines, things we do regularly. Words like usually, always, and often frequently accompany this usage. For instance, I usually wake up at 7 o'clock every morning. He walks to school every day. They play tennis every Saturday. These examples show how the present simple captures consistent and repetitive actions. Permanent situations. Another key use of the present simple is describing permanent or long-lasting situations which refer to facts unlikely to change in the foreseeable future. For example, she lives in Canada. Peter works as a teacher. The library opens at 9 a.m. every weekday. These sentences emphasize stability and continuity in a person's life or circumstances. General facts or universal truths. The present simple is the go-to tense for stating facts or truths that are universally accepted. For instance, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. The Earth revolves around the Sun. Ice melts at 0 degrees Celsius. Such statements are factual and remain true regardless of context. Scheduled future events. Interestingly, we also use the present simple to discuss future scheduled events or fixed timetables. This is common with travel schedules, meetings, or planned events. For example, the bus leaves at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Our meeting starts next week. The flight departs at noon next Thursday. Notice how this usage relies on precise scheduling and often includes time expressions like tomorrow or next week. Instructions and directions. The present simple provides clarity and precision when giving instructions or explaining directions. First, go straight down this street, then turn right at the second intersection. Add sugar to the tea, then stir until it dissolves. Turn left at the traffic light, and you'll see the park on your right. These examples show how the present simple simplifies the steps someone should follow. Summarizing books, films, or stories. When summarizing the plot of a book, film, or story, the present simple is commonly used to describe events as if they are happening now. For example, in the movie, the hero defeats the villain. In the book, the main character has 3 sisters. The story begins with a young girl finding a magical key. This approach adds a sense of immediacy and engagement to summaries. Live commentary and immediate events. The present simple is also used in live commentary or to describe current events. This is particularly common in sports or live broadcasts. For example, he shoots, he scores. Here comes our train. She opens the envelope and finds a letter inside. This usage creates excitement and captures the action as it unfolds. The present simple is a versatile tense that goes far beyond daily routines. Whether describing habits, facts, schedules, or even live events, it serves as a foundational tool for effective communication. Mastering its various uses will undoubtedly enhance your ability to express yourself clearly and accurately in English. Let's go over the most important grammar rules. First, let's check the affirmative sentences in the present simple. For I, we, you, and they, use the subject followed by the base verb. For he, she, and it, use the subject followed by the base verb with an S added. For example, I eat lunch at noon every day. Here the subject is I, first person singular, so the base form of the verb eat is used. She eats lunch at 1 p.m. every day. The subject she, third person singular, requires the verb eat to take an S ending, becoming eats. To form a negative sentence in the present simple, use do not, don't with I, we, you, and they. For he, she, and it, use does not, doesn't, followed by the base form of the verb. For example, he doesn't live in Canada. The subject he, third person singular, uses doesn't, short for does not. The main verb, live, stays in its base form. We don't start work at 7 a.m. The subject we, first person plural, uses don't, short for do not. The main verb start stays in its base form because the auxiliary do is already conjugated. To ask questions in the present simple, we use do or does at the beginning of the sentence, followed by the subject and the base form of the verb. Use do with I, we, you, and they. Use does with he, she, and it. For example, do you usually finish work at 5 p.m? The auxiliary verb do comes before the subject you, and the base verb finish follows it. Usually, an adverb of frequency is placed before the main verb to indicate regularity. Does she usually finish work at 5 p.m? The auxiliary verb does is used for she, third person singular. The main verb finish remains in its base form because does already indicates the third person. The present simple with be has a unique structure compared to other verbs because be doesn't use auxiliary verbs like do or does. For example, he isn't a teacher. This is a negative sentence with be, so we use is not, contracted as isn't. Here, be is the main verb, not an action verb. She is at home. We aren't late. The verb be is irregular, so it requires specific forms depending on the subject. Let's summarize the most essential grammar rules so far. Third person singular rule. Add s to the base verb for he, she, it in affirmative sentences. For example, she eats lunch. Negative sentences use doesn't or don't and keep the verb in its base form. For example, he doesn't live in Canada. Questions start with do or does, depending on the subject, and use the base form of the main verb. For example, does she finish? The verb to be. For sentences with be as the main verb, use is, am, are, and their negative forms. For example, he isn't a teacher. By following these rules, you can form clear and grammatically correct sentences in the present simple tense. There are many other essential grammar rules to learn in this tense. Let's check some of them. State verbs versus action verbs. Some verbs, known as state verbs, are typically not used in continuous tenses because they describe states, not actions. Thoughts and opinions. Know, believe, think, understand. Senses. Hear, see, smell, taste. Emotion. Like, love, hate, want. Possession. Have, own, belong. Examples. I know the answer. She loves chocolate. He has a car. Adverbs like always, often, usually, sometimes, rarely, and never are commonly used in the present simple to describe the frequency and are typically placed before the main verb, for example, I always eat breakfast, or after the verb to be, for example, he is always late. Examples. We often visit our grandparents. She rarely misses her morning workout. They are never on time for meetings. The present simple frequently uses time expressions to emphasize regularity or schedule. Examples of time expressions: every day, once a week, on Mondays, in the morning. I exercise every morning. The bus arrives at 8 a.m. on weekdays. They go to the gym twice a week. The present simple is used in imperative sentences to give commands, directions, or instructions. Structure: base verb without a subject. For example, close the door, turn left at the next street. Read the instructions carefully. We've reached the end of this lesson. This video explored the present simple tense and its key uses. Remember, consistent practice is essential for mastering any grammar rule, including the present simple. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to stay updated. Thanks for watching. See you soon.